Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. And for this one we're going quite a way back to 1982, back to the real golden age of coin-op arcades. This is still coin-op arcade games that we're covering. And for this one it is Xevious, which I've almost certainly pronounced wrong. And yeah, this was made by Namco in 1982. And back in the day when this came out, this was something quite staggering. It was one of the first, in fact it may even be the first game that used pre-rendered sprites, and that allowed a lot more detail to appear in the game graphically, particularly with the backgrounds and with things like your targets. And it meant that you could have this scrolling background, which also featured ground targets along with the actual air-based ones, I suppose, for lack of a better word. And okay, I dare say that a lot of you, if you weren't around in the day, will be thinking, so fucking what, it's a vertical shoot 'em up. But back in the day, vertical shoot 'em ups didn't exist. This was among the first. In fact, it might have even been the first. So alright, well, let's bung a credit in and get underway. Now, yes, the music is a bit crap, but then, as I say, this is 1982. Now, the targets aren't particularly stupid. They will veer away from you once you have them in your sights. So there is some sort of AI here. Now, this game did influence quite a few others. You can quite clearly see that was a total fuck up. You can quite clearly see the influence that this game had on the Commodore 64 game Flak. Now, okay, Flak was, well, no, probably, it's not a very well-known Commodore 64 game, but I suspect that most people who had it only did so because it was on the Soft Aid compilation. Now, the difference between this and Flak is that with Flak you were fighting ground-based targets only. Here you've got both. In fact, the influence of this game is perhaps a little more obvious in the later title, Mach 3, the Laserdisc game. Specifically, if you're playing the bombing run mode. And while I was reviewing that game, you may notice I'm having a bit of trouble sort of concentrating on doing the review and playing this at the same time. But yes, if you saw my review of Mach 3, I forgot all about this game while I was doing it. But yes, the similarities between the bombing mode and this is quite considerable. I mean, okay, graphically they look totally different. That was just one almighty fuck up. But yeah, while the graphics were different, the gameplay is exactly the same. Although 1982 when of course such gameplay was completely brand new, people were a lot more, you know, impressed with it. Playing what was essentially exactly the same thing again a year later, even with the vastly improved graphics, didn't really capture people's imaginations so much. People played Mach 3 for the fighter mode, not the bombing mode. So, I mean, graphically, yes, okay, it is extremely dated now, but then, you know, fuck me, this game came out in 1982, and at that time, games, you know, graphically, you were playing stuff like Golf, which, okay, great games, I've just got an extra life, but graphically, it's not going to blow anyone away. It was never going to do that. So yeah, at the time this was graphically unbelievable, and likewise the gameplay was unbelievable. We had vertical scrolling shooter. It wasn't just, you know, firing at relatively static targets. Fuck that up big time. So yeah, I mean, you weren't just staying in one static area. You were moving through the terrain at a constant. Audio-wise, okay, the audio is not that great, to put it mildly. It's a bit irritating with that fucking jingle constantly playing throughout, and I suspect that even back in the day, people weren't that impressed by it. Now, I used to play this fairly often back in the day, not like all the time, but yeah, a fair amount of time. I was never particularly great at it, which is probably why I didn't play it as often as some. But I mean, it was a decent game, no doubt about it. You know, there's no way you can say anything else. The game's fine. Fuck it, let's put in the fucking full name, I suppose. Alright, this could take a fucking while. This fucking tune sounds like something's gone seriously wrong. Alright, there we go. Right, well, fuck it, I'm having another go, because this game is, this is a decent game. So I played it a fair bit back in the day, not as often as some, but yeah, I still played it quite a bit, and I can't believe I forgot all about it. It was only when somebody mentioned it in a comment, and I have to admit I've forgotten the bloody name of the person who suggested it, but it was only when they did so I suddenly remembered this bloody game. So yeah, kudos to them for reminding me about it. I just wish I could remember who the fuck it was. Oh, fucking hell. So, what do I score this? Well, oh, fuck it. Again, it's just his sheer playability. I don't care that the graphics look dated. I don't care that the sound isn't much cop. The playability is definitely up there. It's a fucking decent game. I'll score it 8 out of 10. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it is fucking good. And Well, I suspect if you didn't play it back in the day, you're probably going to take one look at this and say, cool, that looks shit, you know, but give it a go. It's a great shooter. I don't care that there are no like power-ups or anything. In fact, if anything, I prefer it because there are no power-ups or anything. You just dive straight in and start blasting the fuck out of everything. And you know, what more do you want from a shooter than to just blow the fuck out of everything that you encounter, apart from these things that you can't. So, alright, you can blow the fuck out of almost anything. I can't remember how much you have to get the extra life, but I suspect I'm a long way from it. Oh, you fuck. Okay, this is roughly how far I got last time, so I've travelled further, but I haven't scored as much. Oh, shit. I can't see me being able to destroy that fucker. No. I thought I'd got an extra life then. So there you go, that is Xevious, a decent old school blaster, 8 out of 10, great game, give it a go, even if you don't remember it from the day, give it a go. It plays much better than it looks, so you know, if you are one of those people who thinks that games have to have decent graphics, you know, look beyond them and you'll find a decent blaster here. So there you go, that brings this review to an end, and we will see you at the next one.